Hi everybody, welcome back to Storytime with Grandma Kate. We're going to continue our Junie B journey with chapter 4 of Junie B. Jones' First Grader at Last. In the last chapter, she got into a little bit of trouble for asking Herb which word he was drawing in his journal, remember? Mr. Scary, their teacher, asked them to read the board and choose a word and then draw it. Today, we're going to see what Junie B decided to draw in her journal, even though she couldn't really make out the words. So this chapter begins like this. We drew and drew in our journals. Mr. Scary waited until all of us were done. Then he walked around the room and he looked at everyone's pictures. He gave out shiny gold stars. First, he gave stars to Camille and Chenille. What great-looking dogs you drew, girls, he said. Look at those floppy ears. Lucille raised her hand. Look at mine, teacher, she said. I drew a cat with pointy ears. See, my rich Nana has an expensive cat just like this. Its fur is a foot thick, almost. Mr. Scary looked strange at her. Really, Lucille? A whole foot of fur, he said. My. He gave her a gold star and moved on. He went to a boy named Roger. Roger was in my same class last year. Excellent job, Roger, Mr. Scary said. You drew a man wearing a coat. The words man and coat were both on the board, weren't they? I did a little frown, because none of those words were actually sounding familiar. After that, Mr. Scary talked to Sheldon and Shirley. Cool bat and ball, Sheldon, he said. And Shirley, you drew a bat and a ball too, didn't you? I put my head on my desk. Something was very wrong here. Finally, Mr. Scary got to May. Oh, May, he said, what a special clock you drew. The big hand has 5 fingers. That's very unusual. Yes, said May, I created it myself. Plus, clock was the hardest word up there, wasn't it, Mr. Scary? I am the only one who even knew the word clock, I bet. Just then, my stomach felt sickish inside. I quick closed my journal and stuffed it into my desk. Mr. Scary saw me. Junie B, he said, don't you want to show me your drawing? Don't you want a gold star for today? I shook my head real fast. Nope, no thank you, no I don't, I said. Not today, I really don't care for a gold star today, but thank you for asking. Mr. Scary kept on standing there. The end, I said. He did not budge. Please move along, I said. Finally, Mr. Scary bent down next to me. He lowered his voice so no one could hear. I'm sorry, Junie B, but I'd really like to see what you drew, he said. I need to make sure you understood the assignment. Then, before I knew it, he took my journal out of my desk and he gave it to me to hold. After that, he walked me into the hall and he let me show him my drawing in private. And guess what? He liked it, I think. Oh, wow, look at that, Junie B, he said. You drew a wonderful picture of a he kept on looking. A screaming chicken, I said finally. Mr. Scary did a strange face. Yes, right, he said. It's a screaming chicken, I said again. I pointed at the chicken's mouth. See how it's screaming, cluck, cluck, cluck. I used capital letters for the clucks. Capitals are for screaming, correct? Well, yes, I suppose so, said Mr. Scary. And there you go, you can see her picture with the chicken screaming, cluck, cluck, cluck. But the thing is, Junie B, the word cluck wasn't on the board today. I know it, I said. The word on the board was clock, only I didn't read all the letters right, I guess, because I accidentally thought it was clock. I tapped on my chin. What I actually wanted to draw was the but and the bull, I said, but I really liked the sound of that one. I really liked the sound of that one, but I didn't know how to get started exactly, so I went ahead with the cluck idea. Mr. Scary looked confused at me. The butt and the bull? He asked. I smiled, kind of embarrassed. Well, well, I read those words wrong too, I guess, I said. They turned out to be bat and ball. Mr. Scary frowned. He said. What about the other words on the board, Junie B? Do you remember how you read some of the other ones? How about dog and cat, or coat and goat? I thought back, and then I made my voice real quiet. Dug and cot and coot and ute, I said. Mr. Scary nodded his head, and then he patted my hand very nice, and he gave me back my journal, and we walked back into room 1. I remember when I was in 3rd grade, I had the same problem that Junie B did. When I would look at the board, I would go like this. I would have to squint, or sometimes I would make my eyes different so that I could see a little more clearly. And then my mom took me somewhere, not at school, but it helped me with being able to read the board a little better. We're going to find out in the next chapter called Bug Bag how Junie B gets a little bit of help with reading the words on the board. Can you guess? I'll bet you can. All right, I'll see you at our next story time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.